For today, we're back on Hellblade 2, and this time with the ROG ally. And we'll start it off at 1080p, 30 watts at the lowest settings. And here we go with that. And if we do well, I'll play at the medium settings as well, and we'll see how we go there. Alright, let's jump into it, so here we go. So I'm starting it off in chapter 1, because this area is quite intensive, surprisingly. And yeah, so far we're sitting in the low 20s and the mid 20s. Surprisingly, doing quite well. This game is very intensive, and at native 1080p, like us getting 20 FPS is pretty good. It's not too bad at all. So 30 FPS and above with FSR should be doable. And for the graphics on the built-in screen, it looks pretty good. It's definitely sharp enough. Now this area is quite poorly lit, I guess. The next section is definitely better looking, so we can take a look at the graphics there. So yeah, obviously the game isn't playable as is. Let's pause it and enable FSR 3 with no frame gen and see how we go there. Now for FSR 3, let's use the quality preset. And let's see how we go. So there we go, already 30 FPS. Quite nice. And for the graphics again on the built-in screen, looks identical, guys. Now in saying that, we are on the edge of 30, so in those heavier scenes it will fall below it into the 20s. So ideally enabling frame gen is the way to go, or I guess playing at a lower resolution is also the move. So you're right here in this cutscene, it did fall down into the high 20s, and obviously I wasn't playing the game, but if I was, it wouldn't be ideal. But regardless, 30 FPS for this game is quite fine. It is a story-driven game after all, so a low frame rate isn't going to affect you too much. And this guy's just taking up my attacks. There we go, he's dead. Nicely done. For the stutters, it's feeling quite good. It does happen occasionally, but again, it's not too bad. So I made a slight mistake. I thought the game would have FSR 3 with frame gen. The entire point of FSR 3 is to have frame gen, but I don't think this game does. It's got frame gen with DLSS, but I went back on my desktop to see, and there was no frame gen there, and there's nothing here either. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that part and play at 900p instead. Alright, 900p, no FSR, and again at the low settings. There we go. It's all the basic stuff. Let's go back, try it out and see how we go. And back here, guys, we are sitting in the 30s and falling down to the high 20s immediately. I spoke too soon. I'm gonna go and skip this cinematic. Here we go. Let's go. Oh, I can't. I gotta dodge those. See, now I'm just screwed. Staggered me like that. There we go. Nice. This guy's an annoying rat. Oh, I think this is actually rigged. Never mind. Wait, is it rigged? I'm not sure. I think I'm just coping again. Okay, well anyway, that part was pretty boring. And right here, guys, we're back down into the 20s. So, yeah, we had 30 FPS for a bit in that boss fight. And now we're back into the low 20s. Not playable at all, sadly. Now for the graphics, this looks pretty good. It's definitely sharp enough. And the low settings isn't too bad on the actual built-in screen of the ally. Okay, before we leave, let's go ahead and pause it here, enable FSR 3, and try it again. And back here again with FSR 3, add the quality preset. And yeah, we gained around 10 FPS pretty much, guys. From the mid to low 20s, to now sitting in the low to mid 30s. It's much better, that's for sure. And again, for the graphics, it feels identical to what we had before. So again, it's not great, it's not the sharpest looking game, but it does look pretty decent. So yeah, so far so good. I'm gonna go ahead and stay on this preset for a little bit, and I might bring it down to the balance mode or even the performance mode. There's really one scene that might bring this down into the 20s. Never mind, already down into the 20s right now, but it's straight after this part. Yeah, the game is stuttering as well here, actually. It isn't super smooth. But again, it's a story-driven game. So, like the high 20s and the low 30s isn't too bad. Plus, the game is on Game Pass. So if you have a brand new ally, or one that's like 1 or 2 months old, you should have Game Pass for free. So, I'm not going to be too harsh on the game, because again, it's on Game Pass. Yeah, right here is where we saw the FPS fall down with the 4060. So we'll see how we go here. So far, the lowest has been around 28 FPS. So not too bad, I guess. There we go, right? Yep. The game is definitely stuttering, and the FPS is falling quite a bit. Yeah, 27 FPS so far. Might fall even lower. Yeah, the aiming or the movement feels pretty laggy too. So yeah, a low of 26 and on average around 30 to 32. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and back out and lower FSR again. Try it again and see how we go. And I think for 15 watts, I'm going to keep that for 720p because already at 30 watts, we can't hold a stable 30. So there's not much point in trying to play at 15 watts. Okay, FSR 3 again, and this time with the balance preset. And yeah, so far we've gained a few extra frames. It's nothing major, of course, but the game looks pretty good. Pretty much the same as before again. Yeah, almost back here again. And this time, guys, the game has held a stable 30 the entire time, whereas beforehand, it did fall down into the high 20s occasionally. Yeah, almost there now. We'll have to go past this little hill, or I guess this little path, and we'll see the FPS fall and the game stutter. Very close now, guys, 30 FPS. I am feeling some stutters. And there's the high 20s. But it's far more stable than what we had before. Yeah, so we gained around 3 to 4 FPS pretty much. Let's pause it here, guys. Exit out. Play at 720p. At 15 watts. Try it again. See how we go. For 15 watts, I'm going to go ahead and enable FSR off the bat. Because obviously at native, it won't be a stable 30 at all. So, yeah, FSR 3 balanced. And still at the low settings. Wow, look at that, guys. 35 FPS at 15 watts. For the graphics, it isn't fantastic, unfortunately. It does look pretty soft at this point. But if you are playing portably, it's definitely usable. I guess another way to play portably is to play at 25 watts and use a power bank. But, I mean, that's not ideal, obviously. Yeah, so far, guys, it's been holding 30 just fine. It does stutter occasionally. But, yeah, it's definitely playable for me. But here we go. This is the important bit. How far will it fall below 30 here? And how bad will it stutter? This game feels a bit like a Plague Tale for me. Not really action oriented. It has action scenes obviously, but you're not really doing much. And the art style looks pretty similar too, to be honest. Yeah, there we go, guys. In the mid-20s now. This does feel pretty bad. I'm going to pause it here, guys, and increase FSR a bit further. And see if we can get closer to 30 FPS at all. And lastly, for 720p, performance FSR, we're sitting in the high 20s now, guys. So a few extra frames, and sadly the game does stutter still here. That kind of sucks. For the graphics, the image does smear as you move the camera, but for the sharpness, it's pretty close to what we had before. So yeah, it could be viable for you. Try it out, see if you like it. But I think for the Ally, ideally playing at 25 watts or 30 watts is the way to go. Okay, let's back out, guys. Play at 30 watts, and disable FSR. See how we go there. And 720p, no FSR, 30 watts. And sadly, we're already sitting in the 30s. I guess the low 30s. Which means the FPS will fall into the mid-20s in the later scenes. The only benefit for this one is that the game looks sharper versus FSR. But that's about it. Let's pause it here, guys, enable FSR, and see how we go there. And for FSR, I'm using the quality preset. And wow. In the high 30s and the low 40s now. There should be plenty for us to not fall into the 20s. At least I hope so anyway. Yeah, I think this game will be, I guess, best played while plugged in. Yeah, I think I've walked this path like 10 times now. But hopefully this is the last. And we can hold a stable 30 the entire time. Down into the mid 30s already. Come on. We have a 3 FPS headroom now, guys. Yeah, I think it's doable. So far, our lowest was around 31. So very close. But regardless, we held the 30 FPS mark the entire time. Alright, time for a little fight action here. Let's go. Get one shot, baby. Perfect parry right here. I love parrying. It's so satisfying. Okay, dude, come on. Tomahawk, dude. I can't. There is no way I died. He comboed me. Perfect parry again. Where's the Tomahawk at? Oh, he'll get blocked. Again. Ooh, what? No, I blocked that. There ain't no way. Okay, okay, I'm gonna give up. Alright, that's about it. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That is Hellblade 2 on the ROG Ally. So I think for me, I'm playing at 30 watts, I'm playing plugged in, and probably at 900p. Again, you can play at 720p as well, but for me, I'd rather have a sharper looking image versus a stable 30 FPS. Or I guess in this case, we're sitting in the mid 30s on average and the high 30s. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next time. Next video. See you guys there.